Okay, so this is the my scene where I did the Amapiano dance. Let me just turn off the wireframe. So this is the blocking, where this is the blocking stage of the dance right here. Okay, so you also notice that I start my animation from frame 30. This is to facilitate for the simulation of the dress, of her dress, because it's meant to be simulated after the animation. So this is the scene. So normally when I animate, I like to use this setup. I have my short cam right here. I like to put my short cam on the top left corner here, where so that I can see what the audience is going to see in the final animation. So I have my short cam right there, then the reference at the bottom left corner. I also use my dub sheet a lot during the animations. So let me start by showing you the reference that I was using. Let me just play back the reference so that we can see what's going on, and I can also tell you what's going on at the back of my mind as I study my references. So here's the reference, right? So when I'm studying my references, I'm thinking about the body mechanics that are happening. I'm also thinking about the rig that I'm going to be using in the animation, the controls that I'm going to need. I'm thinking, am I going to need to use FK feet, IK feet, FK hands or IK hands? For this particular project, it was a no-brainer for me that I was going to use FK hands. But then there's this point where she goes down and touches the ground. I was thinking, do I need to switch from FK to IK? Is it necessary for me to do it, or can I just cheat it and shoot from an angle where she is not, her hands are not being shown touching the ground as is in the reference, which is actually what I decided to do in the end. So that's the planning stage. You really need to know what you're going to do before you jump into any 3D package, be it Maya or Blender. You should have a game plan of what you're going to be doing when you're animating. So let me just close that off and go back into Maya. So I think let me switch on the controls so that you can see my timeline. Right. So this is my timeline for, as I mentioned, this particular scene is the blocking stage. So you can see that there's a fairly a number of keyframes on the timeline. The thing is, when animating dances, I think it's really smart to not just use pause to pause, but also a combination of pause to pause and straight ahead animation, mainly because dances are random and dynamic, so you need to use a combination of both straight ahead and pause to pause. At least that's what I use. Also, for this animation, I did not use this setup because as I was studying my reference, I did not have a short cam for this particular animation. I was using this setup. My setup was like this. I had my reference right here, my top sheet, and the 3D view. Why, you may ask? Because when I was studying my reference, I saw that the person who was holding the camera, he was moving along with her as she was performing her dance. You know, he was moving back and forth with her. So it would have been a headache for me to try to work out the cam before actually doing the animation. So I thought it was wise for me to do the animation first and then add my camera afterwards, which is what I did. So when I was animating, this dance. And what you should do for this particular dance, the Amapiano dance, most of the movement, the dancing, it's in the legs. So the keyframes, you should put the keyframes wherever there's a major change in the movement of the feet, the anticipations, any slight movement actually. You know, you need to put keyframes on those changes. It's going to make your life easier after you've done the blocking. It's really important to put all your effort during the blocking stage. So let's just go through the keyframes together and see what I did, where I put my keyframes. So this was the starting pause. This is how I actually did it when I was animating. I just tried to visualize to match her pause and angle as it appeared in the reference. So this was my starting pause. There we go. And after I had paused, you should make it a habit of rotating your 3D scene to see if your character is balanced. The weight, is she balanced? Of course, she's not going to be balanced all the time, especially when doing a dance. There are times when she needs to be off balance and catch her weight and do some crazy moves, but it's a good practice to always rotate around and see what's happening in all angles. So this was the starting pause. We have this movement here. Here we've got an anticipation, an up. Another thing that I should probably tell you right now is when I was done with the blocking and I did my play blast, I noticed that my animation was a little bit floaty. The weights were not reading. The weight of the character was not reading as I wanted. So be sure to exaggerate your ups and downs. Do not copy the movements exactly as in the reference. You need to exaggerate them a bit when animating so that your weights read correctly, so that your animation does not look too floaty, actually. So we've got this, our pose. We've got this going on. This pause right here. Also, you guys, you should be very wise or smart when choosing your references for your projects, for your personal projects, or if you want to do a dance for your demo reel. Choose your references wisely. Choose something that is clear so that you can see what's happening. Also, do not shoot yourself in the foot, maybe by choosing a reference where you cannot actually see the body mechanics. Maybe you're choosing a performer who's wearing baggy clothes. You're just making life difficult for yourself because you're not going to be able to see what she's doing with her body. So preferably choose something like this one where she's wearing tight clothes, or maybe shorts or skirts, so that you can see what's happening with her body. Do not choose something that is going to make your life difficult. That's something that I thought I should mention to you. The reference should be clear enough so that you see all the movements that are taking place. Okay, so you'll notice all the changes in the feet. I'm putting keyframes. Also, one little trick that I always use, I have a tendency of reusing pauses. I do not mean I just copy them, like I mean using those a pause that I've already sculpted as a base. So for example, let's say we have this pause right here, and maybe 50 frames later she has a similar pose, or a pose that is similar to this one. Maybe there's a change in the hand position, or maybe she's maybe down a little bit from this position. So I'm not afraid to copy this pose, paste it on that particular frame, and then tweak that particular pose into the new one. So be efficient when you're doing your animations. You do not have to start from scratch. Reuse poses that you have already sculpted. If she's maybe a fist, it's a fist, and then there's a particular pose where she's doing that same fist. You can use that one as a base and then tweak it to a new pose. Also, constantly rotate around your 3D scene to see how the weight and the pose are balanced, how everything is working together. It's a good practice to always rotate around your 3D scene to see how her weight is balanced. Okay. Also, you should know your space, your 3D space. If a character jumps, be able to know by how much she jumps. If she moves forward or backwards, you should be able to gauge that from the reference using your character. For example, the character that I'm using right now, Gamu, she's stylized, obviously, so she has longer legs compared to the girl in the reference. So when I'm doing my animations, I'm also taking that into consideration. So when she does her jumps, mine are a little bit more exaggerated. Okay. Also, there's this pose right here. Do not be afraid. Utilize your rig. The controls on your rigs are meant to be used. The ones that you're going to use, exploit them. For example, there's this pose right here when she's doing this dance, this little dance move, right? You can see the leg right here. It's longer than here. Here it's shorter. So what I did, I was utilizing this controller here, this one, to make the leg straighter, so that I probably should have even exaggerated even to this point. So it's something that you want to do. Do not be afraid to exaggerate things. Push your poses, and if it's too much, you can always tone it back down. So that's another tip that I want to give you guys. Do not be afraid to exaggerate things. Exaggerate, and if it's too much, you can always tone it back down. So those are the poses. Rotate around. Let me turn off the controls so that we can see how it go better. So there we go. The leg changes. Put a keyframe. Know where to put your efforts. So planning and blocking are where I put my efforts in. They're really important. If you do a really good job at blocking, if your foundation, because blocking is the foundation. If your foundation is strong, you have a good animation. But then if your foundation is weak, no matter how good you do the polish or detailing, you're just polishing a turd, so to speak, it's going to be bad. So put your effort in the blocking stage, in the planning and blocking stage. Make sure that you nail every pause. Everything is working as it should. And if you decide to be lazy, like me, you can, not put so much effort in the polish stage, but your animation will be good. There we go. Also, you'll notice in the blocking stage, I do not bother with the face, but I just put an initial facial expression, and then I just work on my body pauses. I just work on my body, rotating around, making sure everything is working correctly. And when I'm satisfied with my body and how the body mechanics are working, that's when I then do the face. I always do the face last. Even with acting shots, I always start with the body, make sure that the body is communicating what I want to communicate, and then I move to the face. So this is the point where she goes down, touches the ground. Okay. So yeah, guys, this is the process that I do when I'm animating a dance. I do a lot of planning before I jump into any 3D software. I plan the controls that I'm going to use. I anticipate the challenges that I'm going to face in the animation stage. I know what my rig can and cannot do. I choose a reference in which I can see what's going on, a clear reference, because I don't want to make life too difficult for myself, right? And there we have it. Okay, so I think now we can jump into animating a dance together. We're going to utilize the information that we have gathered here. We're going to choose a reference where we see what's happening. We're going to use a combination of both pause to pause and straight ahead, and we'll see what we come up with. Right? Okay, let's go.